In this section, we'll be looking at SSCE government past questions year 2001. Question 1 says the first agent of political socialization is option A, school, option B, mass media, option C, community, option D, family. The first question, the first agent of political socialization is option A, school, option B, mass media, option C, community, option D, family. So when we're talking about socialization, what do we mean by socialization? So we are taking that socialization from the question, political socialization. Socialization has to do with, is from the word social, socialization. So social has to do with people, like culture, has to do with society, has to do with how you relate with people, socialization. So how your relation with people. So now the question is political socialization. Who is the first agent or was the first agent of political socialization? The culture of politics, how people do politics, how people live their lives, was the first agent. So the option is option A, school, option B, mass media, option C, community, option D, family. The correct answer there is family. Family is the correct answer. So let's look at the option family. When it comes to family, we're talking about the mother, we're looking at the fathers, we're looking at the siblings, the extended family. They're the people that first teach the child or the children what he needs to know, how to use objects, that's the eating habit, how to relate with others, how to relate with family. So anything they understand about society, anything they understand about government or anything at all society, the child first learns it in the family. So the first agent of political socialization is the family. Option D is the correct answer. Let's move to question 2, still under SSCE Government Past Questions 2001. Byron Montesquieu was noted for the theory of A, the rule of law, delegated legislation, separation of powers, equality before the law. Byron Montesquieu was noted for the theory of option A, the rule of law, option B, delegated legislation, option C, separation of powers, option D, equality before the law. So who is this Byron Montesquieu? So Byron was born in 18th January 1689. And Byron Montesquieu died 10th February 1755. So he lived for 66 years and he was a French judge, historian, and political philosopher. So was the theory Byron Montesquieu was noted for? He was noted for the theory of separation of powers. Separation of powers. So looking at the question number 2, the correct answer here is option C, separation of powers. So what's this separation of powers? What's this theory? What's the theory behind separation of powers? When we talk about separation of powers, we're looking at the government should be divided into branches, or normally is under 3 branches. We talk about the legislative, we talk about the executive, then we look at the judiciary. So with this separation of powers, it suggests that no one person should have control of authority. You understand? The supreme authority should not be vested in one organ or in one person, but it should be separated to avoid abuse of power and to avoid one branch being too powerful. When we talk about one branch, we're talking about that's the branches of government. We've mentioned the legislature, executive, and judiciary. So the separation of power suggests that no one branch should be too powerful. The powers, the authority should be divided. You understand? So that there will be control and there will be there will be no abuse of power. So the answer to question 2 is separation of powers. So anywhere you hear the name Byron must kill, you should remember separation of powers. Let's go to question 3. Political sovereignty in the state resides with the option A, executive, option B, the people, option C, National Assembly, option D, international community. Let me take the question again. Political sovereignty in the state resides with the option A, executive, option B, people, option C, National Assembly, option D, international community. So when we're talking about political sovereignty, what are we looking at? We are looking at the dominant power. We are looking at supreme authority. I'm talking about political sovereignty as a term. What does it mean? So when we're talking about political sovereignty, we're talking about maybe the highest authority or the supreme authority or the dominant power in that political setting. So this in this question, political sovereignty, where does this political sovereignty reside in the state? The correct answer here is option B, the people. I know most of us will go with option A, the executive. It's the executive that decides everything that happens in the state, in the nation, etc, etc, etc. But political sovereignty in the state resides with the people. Why the people? Why does political sovereignty lie with the people? You know, the government is created by the people, and the government exists to serve the people and the interests of the people. It is the people that have the power to influence or make decisions about how they should be governed through elections, through referendum, through maybe sometimes riots. Maybe you might understand that sometimes the executive might make some decisions or some laws that if the electorate, that's the people, should rise up and say, we don't want this. If they insist and insist so hard, there is a possibility that those laws will be changed. So it's the people that influence how they should be governed. And through elections, they select their leaders. They decide who is going to be my president, who is going to be my local government chairman, who is going to be my governor, etc. So political sovereignty in the state resides with the people. They are the ones with the supreme authority. Here in number 4, still under SSCE past questions, government, year 2001. Number 4 says a political system in which there is only one source of authority in a state. You know, in government, when we talk about state, we're talking about nation, we're looking at a country. So a state is not like Enugu or Anambra. We're looking at a nation, we're looking at a state. So number 4 says a political system in which there is only one source of authority in a state is option A, confederal, option B, parliamentary, option C, presidential, option D, unitary. We are looking at, or we are looking for the political system in which there is only one source of authority. That's what the question says. The political system where there is only one source of authority. So let's look at option A, confederal. What was the confederal political system? We're looking at the confederal political system. We're looking at organizations or states coming together to agree to follow a powerful central government. Sometimes it might be a weak or a loose organizations. It might not be that solid. It might just be just a loose organization of states that will just okay, let's agree. Germany will agree, Nigeria will agree, China will agree, India will agree. Let us just come together and follow UK. You understand? So it's a loose organization. So that's what a confederal political system is. Then when we're looking at parliamentary system of government, is a political system of government that is solely responsible to the legislature. Is the government by a cabinet that the members belong to, and they are responsible to the legislature. It's the legislatures that they answer to the legislative arm of government that is under parliamentary. So when we're talking about the presidential system of government, we're just explaining the options so that after explaining the options, they will look for the correct answer to that only one source of authority. So when we look at presidential system of government, is a system of government where the powers of the executive, the legislatures are totally separate. It's separate, unlike the parliamentary. But in presidential, it's separate. Remember the question in number 2 about Byron must will was noted for the theory of separation of powers. So if you see presidential system of government, you should remember separation of powers. They are together. They are together. So under the presidential system of government, that's where you see that the powers of the executive, the legislatures, they are totally separate. Totally separate. So now let's look at so now the question says where now is the only one source of authority. So the correct answer here is option D, unitary system. So that's where when we talk about unitary is just one, where there is only one level of authority, no separation of powers, no option B, no option C. It's just one level of government or one level of authority. In other political systems, parliamentary, presidential, confederal, there are levels of authority there. There are levels of government there. But a unitary is only one level of authority. There is nothing like separation of powers. So maybe now, if they ask you one of the features of unitary political system, you should tell them that there is no separation of power. So that's number one feature of unitary political system. So the correct answer for number 4 is unitary. That's option D. A political system in which there is only one. Question 5 says, which of the following best describes an absolute monarchy? Which of the following best describes an absolute monarchy? Option A, he wields the supreme power in a state. Option B is elected by an electoral college. Option C is elected by the electorate. Option D has fixed tenure of office. Let's take the question again. We're looking at question 5. Which of the following best describes an absolute monarchy? Option A, he wields the supreme power in a state. Option B is elected by an electoral college. Option C is elected by the electorate. Option D has fixed tenure of office. So when we're looking at monarchy, we're looking at that system of government that you will see the king and the queen ruling over an empire, over a kingdom. You understand? So it's the system of government where there is the queen, there is the king, and it involves a kingdom, an empire. You understand? So we're looking at absolute monarchy. Is that monarchy that has unlimited power, no checks, no balance, unlimited power. So that's when they talk about absolute monarchy. And you know that this is a monarchy generally reigns for life. Yeah, monarchy generally reigns for life. Like there is no tenure of office normally for monarchy. They reign till they die. You understand? So monarchy. Why monarchy? Let's look at that word monarchy. Monarchy. The first syllables there, mon. That's the first part. Is talking about one, one. So the archy there, arochy, is talking about rule or command. So if you combine it together, is you can. So I'm just playing around the world. So that's monarchy. So single person ruling or commanding. Mon has to do with one or single. Then the arche there has to do with rule or command. So let's look at the options. So the correct answer to this question now is option A. He wields the supreme power in a state. That's absolute monarchy, unlimited power.